You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast.
Good evening. This is episode 16 of Pointing Pointers. Sam Davies Thomas alongside me. I'm Ben Atkins. We're excited to be back. It's been 2 weeks. Sam, how the devil are you?
I'm good, thanks. Looking a bit tired, feeling a bit tired. Been changing the old discipline last week. I was at badminton horse trials for a week, which was good. But yeah, trying to keep track of the point to points has been going on. Luckily, we've had a bit of nice weather, haven't we? So
yeah,
been a bit of act.
We're back. It's basically we're back, baby. We're back. And Sam, I've heard of
it's the start of the season now, mate. And who would have thought it actually finishes next Monday? So crazy, really.
I know. I've heard of bags under your eyes, but suitcases are a different thing. I'll send you some anti-aging cream in the post. I've been using it for years. I wish I had, actually. It probably wouldn't look the way I do. Anyway, we digress. At an early juncture, Sam, we've got quite an interesting episode tonight. Me and you are going to have a little bit of a chat about the last couple of weeks between the flags, and then we have a bit of a Bloodstock breeding special with Ed Bailey, James Gray, and Lester Futter to look forward to. So you will be leaving us for that. You said you didn't want to cramp my style, which is fair enough. I understand that. There's only enough room for a couple of heroes around here. Let's talk all things point to point from the last couple of weeks. So it's like you say, we've had some racing, we've been back at it. So Sam, the last time we were together was Cheltenham. We had a great night, as I'm sure many of you who were there did. And we should probably just give it a bit of a recap before we go back through the pointing.
Yeah, it was good. It was a shame about the ground. Obviously, we had a lot of rain that day, and the ground softened up quite dramatically. And it probably, there were quite a few non-runners, notably so in the mare's race, which left Regatta de Blanc to cant around at 100 to 30 on. But I thought she jumped a lot better. As we said on the preview with Joe, that she was just up against it around Newbury, and she jumped a lot better and won as she liked, really. But did we learn anything about her? Probably not. But it was nice to see her go and get ahead in front and finish off. I don't know if she's going to go to Stratford, but finish off what's been a really successful season for her. And Regatta de Atkins, you must have been happy.
Delighted. Yeah, look, a winner's a winner, Sam. Do you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure I put up a non-runner in the last race. So if you back the double, you'd be in profit. Thank me later.
How the grounds, Gaboya I thought was really, really impressive on the night. Horse we've talked about for the Fox Hunters. He came into the race coming down the hill like he just joined in really over 4 miles. So he was impressive. And then, Iskandar Pekos did what everyone thought he'd do. 3-1, I thought was, in the end, was a mad price really for what he's been doing. Well done to Hannah Roach, who's had a great season, and also Hugh Edwards. And then, also fairly famous, a horse that the Ellises have talked about a lot. He pulled up around Wetherby, behind some good horses, but he put himself right back on track with a good performance, beating Premier Magic by 4 lengths, and he travelled real strongly. On ground, I thought was probably going to be too soft for him. So shows, as per usual, exactly what I know, which is nothing.
Yeah, Sam, you can't admit to that.
20 quid. I'm getting 20 quid off Joe.
Yeah,
I
good.
haven't done a counter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, we need to have a good look at that. Sam, you're not supposed to admit that you don't know anything. That's what people have been saying about us for years now, and you can't play into their hands. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, I really enjoyed the evening, as I say. I think that's a good synopsis. Let me just close my emails. When I was in our Nick Look section the other week, we finished, and he said, "You're popular this morning," because every 2 seconds my WhatsApps were going bing, bing, bong. Probably you.
Are you enjoying that? Are you enjoying that podcast, Ben?
Yeah, good. Thanks for helping me out with it, Sam. It's really good that you're doing alternate weeks. I really appreciate the support of that.
You're just so good at it. I just don't need for me to join in.
What a joker, as they say on the advert. Fleet Park was on Saturday, the 4th of May, which feels like an age away, but we do need to cover off on what's been going on. Anything you noticed there, Sam?
Max Comey trainer winner, which puts him, keeps him in the fight with them. Josh, so he went out there with Ryan's Fancy. That's puts him on. Well, after this weekend, he's actually finished up the weekend on 20, which is 2 behind Josh on 22, and 1 in front of Alan. That's obviously after all the meetings that have been.
Yeah, I was going to
since
ask
then
you
as well.
about that going on. I really don't want to be negative, and I know the boss, Jake, as we call him, will be listening to this. I do not understand how those leaderboards can't be live. All the data's there. I don't know whether it might be like, and this is absolutely not me stirring the pot. It might be because it increases the clicks on Go Pointing, like as in people going to Go Pointing to have a look. But I just think, I don't know, I just think that should be contemporaneous. Anyway.
Nice, but if anyone wants to know the updated results live there and then, all I do is I just text Joseph Hill and straight away, 30 seconds, bosh. They're all there, ready to go.
And Joe's number is 07. Right. So on from that, that was the only racing on the 4th.
Godston on the 4th.
Oh, crikey. There has been some racing since last time, hasn't there? Yeah, shoot.
Izzy Marshall continued her streak. She's, after all the weekends gone, again, as I say, Izzy's now on 19, which is the lead again up on Gina. So there was some interesting rides I thought she picked up over the last couple of weeks as well. So that might be a sign of things to come. Gina actually ended this weekend 1 ahead, I think. She had a double at Godston, locking, beating Go Geronimo, who then went and won again this weekend, just gone. And Benefactor, he just got up to beat a horse of Edward Vaughan's in the conditions race. So Godston, really nice track. And then Gina, she finished off the day with a winner in the flat race on Just a Glance, beating Izzy. So that would have been quite sweet for her to put one ahead for that weekend.
Yes, I was looking at it all earlier, and it's amazing that Ed Vaughan is actually like pretty high up. I think he's 3rd or 4th in the leader for the men's title. Despite clearly running away with the novice title, he's had a hellish amount of winners, and fair play. But I kind of get the sense that he's going to go to the wire with Gina and Izzy. I think, to be honest, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this now that he is an avid listener, but I think Biddick will probably just not that bothered about chasing James down. Do you think that's fair?
Well, he can't beat him, so he may as well not be bothered. So game over, I'd say.
Can't beat
season
him.
Finishes.
Season
finishes next Monday. Do you know what I mean? They've cut the season short, which is ridiculous. The title only goes to next Monday, so he can't beat him. So
he could go through 3 cards. I mean, grand. Can you remember when walkovers counted? That was good. Bring that back.
Yeah, there could have been a chance then. There'd been cash flying everywhere.
Oh wow, that's a wild accusation, Sam. Take it back. Right. Anyway, let's keep motoring. What else?
On the 5th, Biddick had a winner. Up at South Hill, but also followed up with James having a winner as well for Luke Price. So Luke's horse he's been banging in the winners. So that's something to be wary of, and something for our listeners to keep an eye on as well. Go to one of my favourite courses of the country. Dingley was on the 5th as well, which is obviously I was trying to keep on track with all that while I was at badminton, but it was good. Nice to see Golden Fortune, a horse that has come back from under rules. We say we like to involve everyone. Golden Fortune was a 140 horse under rules. Had a few leg issues, come back, and he's won a couple now, and he seems to really taken to pointing, which is good. Barry Denver, who I know is assistant trainer on a flat yard in Morton on the Marsh, used to be anyway. He's training him now, and it's great for him as well to he does him in his lunchtime, and that's great. And I also saw Kelly Morgan won the maiden by 75 lengths. You don't see that very often.
You don't? No.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Who'd have thunk it?
That's what's called pissed up.
That's what they normally say you are, Sam.
I'm good. I drank a bottle of water today. You can write it.
Crikey. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know the significance, Sam doesn't drink water. So that's big.
Fuel.
That's
Bit of fuel.
not Sam drink. Don't confuse that with Sam Drinkwater. Sam doesn't drink water. It's not a trainer.
I know
Okay, nice. You should change your name.
Ragnar Logbrook one again, Ben.
I think we've got a delay on here. If you went sat outside in your garden pretending it's summer, we'd be all right. But yeah, you should change your name by deed poll to Sam Doesn't Drink Water. That would be great. and then take out a license.
Be better than the middle names I've got, I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yeah, we won't go into it. Moving on. Talk about funny names. Ragnar Logbrook won again. This is his 5th win of the season. That was good for Jenny.
Yeah.
Old favourite of the pointed world, Gerald Bailey and team. So, no, very good. Very good indeed.
So, Sam, now I've noticed of late, and we are a couple of weeks late to this particular party because of the way that these episodes have fallen, but I've noticed that B. Coward's been doing particularly well, and I caught up with her earlier, and this is what she had to say. B. Coward, really nice to be in touch at long last. Sorry it's taken us a while. B, you've had a great season. Wondering if you could tell us in numerical terms how it's been for you and what you hope to achieve with the remaining meetings.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, like you say, we've had a really good season so far. We've had 9 runs, 3 wins and 4 seconds, so we're on about a 33% strike rate at the moment. And from only having 3 horses in the yard, we're not doing too badly. Looking forward to the season, so the rest of the season, we've got Grand Paradiso. He's come back from tendon injury, ran at Lark Hill, and he's probably going to be looking for the extended trips around, and either that or the Veterans Series. So he'll be looking to sort of get round some of them. And then we've got Rocky Creed, who won his maiden at Lockinge. He does really nice pieces of work at home. We just, first couple of races in the season, he was just dealing with little niggly problems. But he showed us what he was really made of at Lockinge. So hopefully he will come out at Cottleston at the midweek meeting and put on a good performance in the restricted there. The other horse, Douglas Longbottom, he's probably done his season. He ran on Friday at Chepstow in the Hunter Chase, and we sort of put him in there. Nice bit of experience at the end of the season. He's jumped green to start with and then got better as he went round, and he's probably expended a bit too much energy at the start for when they kicked on at the finish, but he's learnt a lot, and it's definitely given us some pieces to work on through the summer and at the start of next season, so that he's ready to raring to go for a big campaign next year.
Yeah, I was watching that race with keen interest and thought he got on really well. Definitely a horse with lots of promise for the future. And for people that don't know, B, whereabouts in the country are you training at the moment?
We're based at just outside Mere, which is on the Wiltshire-Dorset border. We're not far from the A303, which means we've got really easy travel links, sort of southeast and southwest for all the point-to-points. Great stuff there from B. And yeah, I'd say wishing you all the best for the rest of the season. Sam, what else have you noticed in the last few weeks before we talk to these Bloodstock boys?
Those are the brains, yeah. Monday saw Mollington. I'm not going to go through all the racing because we've got to just have a big chat with the boys. But Mollington saw Tom Hutby ride a double.
I was there, Sam. I was there. It was a really, really, really impressive couple of rides as well before he stood down.
Standing down now, so no more rides for him this season. 5 winners ridden, so keep his status for next year. Were you impressed? We talked about him a bit. Did you meet him?
Yeah, I did meet him.
Nice bloke, isn't he?
Very, yeah, and mature for his age, and no one wants to hear an old man say that, but he is mature for 16. The first ride he gave was amazing. Really, really brave at the last. On a strong travelling horse, but yeah, really chucked it at the last to get it up, and fair play. I'm really interested to see where he goes. It'd be one of those that you hope stays riding pointing, but you can't help but feel like it'll probably go all the way if he wants to.
He probably will, but his dad will keep keep him on the straight and narrow, I'm sure. So hopefully he won't go too soon. We keep enjoying him for a bit longer, but hopefully he does. Yeah, it wouldn't be very heavy. I know he's about that, though he wants, but I think he's a bit of an adrenaline junkie from what I know, and I think he'll stick to jumps probably.
Yes, fair enough. You caught me out there.
Saturday, the 11th of May. Moved on to Saturday, this last weekend now. So Honeycott on the Saturday, should be impressed with the horse from Eamon O'Donovan's yard, who's been ridden by Sean O'Connor, the lad who rode Benny's King of the Fox Hunters, who rode a winner from last weekend and the weekend just gone as well. So this horse at Honeycott was by order of St George. Interesting. I spoke to Sean earlier. And he said he was very green. He led, disputed the lead all the way around and quickened up well. And he went away and won and beat one of Josh's horses by 3 1/4 lengths. So no, that was quite impressive. So Izzy Marshall again in the winners' enclosure for Julie Wadland, who's having a great season with a limited amount of horses. Langham Valley just getting up to beat Billick on 9th wave. In the mixed open, and then she obviously followed up then with Julie Wadland again, Bush Tucker Park, who's won 2 out of 2 since coming point to pointing, owned by a good friend of mine's mother, Joanne Mann, and as that's Peter Mann's mother, and so no, they've obviously got that horse now, and he's won 2 from 2 now. So Julie does very well with the horses, and she's won to try her strike rate, I can imagine. I'm just going to look if I've got time and my internet's working quickly, which is not.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sam, I'll fill for you while you look at that. Never, ever come on this podcast again in your garden. I'm speaking on behalf of the listeners that have got your 7 out of 10 words. But next time, I know you're warm. I know you've been on your bike. But we want you back inside under the crap lighting with your red wine. That's how we know and love you. Don't like the.
It's not working.
No, it's not working very well. It's fair to say.
Okay, well, Julie Wadland, good trainer, training some nice winners, so that was good. And that was also good. And then going to Kingston Blount, I thought was quite interesting card actually. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm glad. I don't want to upset you, because I've seen you feel very stressed today. But Jimmy King riding a treble. Izzy Marshall riding a winner for the price when Jimmy King was there. I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, very.
Is that fun things to come, do you think?
Yes, I'd say it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that might be an interesting angle that Izzy's going to maybe pick up a few more rides for Luke Price towards the end of the season to try and fend off Gina. Which it happens every year, doesn't it? It happens, people support each other and people go and buy different rides. So, and also Toby McKay Mitchell, he also rode a double, but he also had an interesting second on a horse called Sleeve Guy, which he used to train himself, but is now in the name of Max Comley. So that as well. So
sneaky old Max, his old tricks.
He's at it again.
It's always the quiet ones, isn't it? You talk to him. What a lovely boy he was. He wouldn't say boo to a goose, would he? The kind of person you'd like to take home to your mother, Sam. But really, he's
I'm not taking him now.
No, I'm only joking. He is a lovely guy. Yeah, no, and as we've said, Sam, if these loopholes exist, they will be exploited. Anyway, anything else you want to say before I chuck you out?
No, I'm quite happy, mate. I'm glad to be on. Hope this goes well with these guys. It'd be very interesting. Hope the listeners enjoy it, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, mate. Lots of love. I'll speak to you shortly.
Yeah,
great to have you back, James. We're going to do proper introductions in a moment. But Ed, are you keeping all right?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, all good.
Good to have you back. Good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you.
And Lester, I've been meaning to get you on for absolutely ages. I've been plucking up the courage to ask for your number. And so, great to have you along.
Yeah, great to be on. Hi, James. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good fun. Thanks, Lester. Yeah, busy, as I'm sure you are.
Yeah, it's that time of year now. If we're not busy, I don't think we'll ever be busy, will we?
No, it's good to be busy.
Correct. So chaps, I thought what we'd do is there'd be a lot of people listening that don't know anything about us or what we do. Go around the room, just sort of explain our connection to bloodstock or breeding, and before we go through some questions as to how things can be improved, point to pointing, and the interplay of pointing, breeding, and bloodstock. So I will start, so you get a chance to understand the format. James, I know you're a bit slow. So I'm Ben Atkins. As well as doing a few other bits, I am running a stud in Lincolnshire called Fairfield Stud. We are breeding some national hunter horses and also looking after mares that are mainly for the other clients that are running on the flat, etc. I run on the flat, so both breeding under both codes, and as a bit of a nursery for some young stock of all descriptions. So that's me. Ed.
I run a Bloodstock agency based out of Hereford, and also have a yard, Upton Court Stables, where we're sort of producing young stock, consigning, and sort of rest and rehab for racehorses on breaks and holidays, and a bit of pre-training and breaking as well. So a bit of all sorts going on with us. But yeah, very much an embryonic yard, but we're building all the time, and quite exciting times, really.
Well, if you're embryonic, I'm merely sperm. Anyway, Lester, let's move on to you.
So Leicester, I work on our family business at home. We've got a stud farm, so family-run business with my father David, my brother Riley, and Dad's wife Berta. So this time of year is quite a busy time of year. We're slightly coming towards the end of our foaling season. I think we've done about 70. We just had another one this afternoon, and we've probably got about 15 or 16 left to foal. So we have a breeding season this time of year. We got 4 stallions at home, and then we obviously do the foaling, and we also hold sales and sell and buy young stock as well.
So you've been very modest there, Lester, and if they don't know your name, they will know either your surname or Yorton. Lester is referring to Yorton Stud, and we'll move on to your stallions in due course, I'm sure. One of which, James, this segues beautifully, is currently standing with you. So you've found Falco out to your good friend Chris up north and made space for Linda's lad.
Yeah, so we've got a stud farm in Lincolnshire, as you say. We're standing Linda's lad this year, very kindly leased to us from Yorton. Do anything anyone will pay me to do, really. Bowling, less breaking now. We used to do a bit of breaking, but not so much of that anymore. But sales, consigning, bowling, coverings, anything. As long as I get paid, I'll do it.
Sheep farming, a few head of cattle.
Yeah, cattle.
Selling stuff on eBay, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Vinted is the new thing, isn't it?
But apparently so. That's what the kids are telling me. I
haven't used it.
No, me either. That's great. I just wanted to go around and sort of briefly introduce everyone. So before we go any further, I just wanted to make mention of the fact that I was having a conversation with some forumites only 20 or 30 minutes ago, basically saying, we talk all the time about Pointy being a broad church, and whilst keeping the grassroots races and the series and everything else going, it is absolutely vital that the pointing has a commercial aspect to it, and is a nursery for young horses coming through and then going on in the rules. And that starts obviously with people with owners breeding horses, chaps like yourself presenting them at sales, whether that's foals or stores, then running on the track, then hopefully being impressive and being told to go into rules. We know that neither can exist without the other, and that's so true of pointing in general. Like, there's so many aspects that if one part fell away, the whole thing just wouldn't work. Just wanted to get that caveat in there again before I get bashed. First question, chap. Open floor. Maybe we'll stick hands up in the air because we've all got terrible Wi-Fi connections. But my first question really is, and it's not a quick one, is what can we continue to improve in British pointing to become more competitive with our Irish counterparts? How do we bridge the gap in the sales ring? Ed, I don't need to tell you that people are winning Irish point-to-points and selling them for 300, 400, 500,000, and our best record to date is probably something like 210. until maybe slightly more very recently. What do you chaps think is the most important aspect of sort of improving things and decreasing that gap? Who wants to go for
I'll have a go. I think a big part of it is depth of races, and the race program is vital towards that. At the minute, there's Easter weekend, 16 meetings is a tricky place for everyone to take each other on. I respect the fact that hunts want to run their points on those weekends because commercially it's very good in terms of crowds. But obviously we've had a very tricky winter with weather, but creating races with a lot of depth that can then, feel confidence towards the buyers at the sales that the race was a high quality race has got to be a massive advantage. The good tracks are very well supported, and we're very lucky to still have Larkhill. Brighton, obviously close to Leicester, has been a very good track over the years. Maysmore and many more. Shame to lose Barbary, but good tracks will supply hopefully good races. People want to take their good horses there, and people are generally taking each other on. Even at Holneycott this weekend, it was a very well supported maiden full of young horses, and that's what we need to see, and that's what Ireland's got. So more of that, the better, really.
Yeah, and
I think potentially this year, it's been a very hard year and difficult for horses to get out because of the ground and a lot of places being. But actually, this is the first time that I've seen it recently where it's Iton on May Bank holiday. There was two maidens, but both of them were actually split, which is something that I haven't seen for a long time. That there's actually a group of horses that are willing, and especially young horse maiden, that there was enough horses in there to make it split, and it was competitive racing, which is, I guess that's probably happened maybe because of the weather and there's more horses yet left to run. But exciting that there's a group of horses that are in May ready to run and take each other on.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we've alluded to it before in years gone by, and I want to check really the answer still remains the same. But what we're saying is we need more depth in these maiden races to give the form more credibility, and because we've seen in action. Well, what we've seen is more competitive racing. What will be interesting to see is whether that converts into better sales prices. I'm not sure it quite has yet from the ones that have been sold this season, but it's been quite a mixed market anyway, I suppose. But yeah, time will tell whether that is the key. But it certainly seems like it from where we're stood now. So on a related point, then, what stallions have caught the eye recently as a kind of potential source of winners on point to point debut? It's funny, isn't it? We talk about stallions on the flat that seem to get a precocious type or whatever. And honestly, it's a totally different thing when we're dealing with 3-year-olds. That so much of it's down to their education, how they jump, etc. But do you boys have any stallions in mind that have really caught the eye? And basically, what should we be looking out for at Donny next week, other than Linda's Lad, Ito, Scarlo, Pether's Moon, blah, 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 blah. Ones, the stallions that you guys don't stand, although you can include them if you like. What should we be looking out for stores at Doncaster next week, would you say?
It's difficult for, I think, if you're talking about going British point to point and different things, of the obvious stallions that we all look at now, the Blue Brazils, the Walk in the Parks, or Jukebox Juries, and different stallions that are obviously everyone knows about and are producing winners. But for the majority of people who are looking to buy a horse to go English point to point in, probably aren't in the market to buy them sort of horses. But what you can look at is 10 years ago, Walk in the Park wasn't stood in Ireland and no one really knew who he was. And Blue Brazil 10 years ago was stood in France, covering very few mares. So there's probably got to be angles to look at. I think the most important things with buying store horses, especially if you're going, it's probably look at the dam side is very important. I think it's look, we stand stallions, but I think the most important part is the dam and how the bloodlines it shoots into it. And then also the individual is the most thing. Everyone likes sort of different things, but most of the point to point trainers know what they like and know what they can do with so you can look at it and think, I think the individual and the dam side is probably slightly more important than the stallion as such, if you're going to go look at buying one.
Yeah, so you're basically advocating looking for value that might become. Yeah, you're right. People are, the average point-to-point trainer in the UK isn't going to be buying walk in the park stores unless they're doing it really commercially. And then even the bigger yards, I don't think are really spending that level at the store sale necessarily. So yeah, James, anything to add there, or are you just marveling at how solid an answer that was from Leicester?
Yeah, well, I can't really add much. These two lads know far more than me, so I can just nod along. But I think if you're looking for a bit of value in the store sales, obviously, if you want the obvious ones, like Leicester said, it's Walk in the Park, Blue Brazil, isn't it? But I think if you're looking for a bit of value, you've either got to look for a dam or you've got to look for a stallion that people are just not fixated on. Like Passing Glance would be a perfect example of that. He gets loads of winners. He gets a nice big horse, but the sales don't necessarily like him. So if you're just looking for something like that, I mean, Linda's Lad, bit of self-advertising, he'd be another one. They're not necessarily exceptional sales horses, but they're real solid horses, and they'll go and make nice money next week. He's got 5 in at the May sale. They'll win races. They're lovely horses. I've got 2 foals that are absolute crackers, but they're not walking the park, so they're not going to make 100,000.
We've got a very nice filly for next week by Linda's Lad, and she'd be 16-2 in a very sort of tall, athletic, racy looking filly. And the biggest, I think it was the great incentive now, and we sell quite a few horses privately, and actually what the majority of trainers and people buy owners now want is GBB fillies. And I think even if you were going pointing and you're looking at pointing to sell, if you've got a GBB filly and you win a point, it should be a lot more commercial to sell in the sales ring second time round than say an Irish bred or a French bred filly that doesn't have the opportunity to. The bonus is if you win a GBB race and you get a 20 grand bonus, it's a huge incentive because you're halfway to, or making your way to starting to pay off what it costs to keep the horse.
Yeah, fair enough. And so that segues nicely to something else I was thinking about, which you see in Irish pointing, which is Coolmore putting up this incentive for pointers to go and win on debut, that get a bonus if the horse that they've the stallion. The progeny of the stallion wins on debut, they get an incentive from the stud. In this case, Coolmore. So I'll put you on the spot, Leicester. When are you starting this in the UK, and how much is the incentive going to be?
Well, I think it's great that Coolmore are offering this because it's a great incentive and it's good. Luckily, Coolmore being in a position that Coolmore are able to do this. Yorton at the minute are not quite in the position to be doing this, but maybe it's something in the future. But it's a great incentive for Coolmore. I mean, they're obviously the stallions they stand, the mares that they cover, the numbers that they have. It's and they're doing very well. They've got some great stallions that have plenty of winners. So it's a great idea that they're put up to do it. But I think it might be a couple of years yet before Yorton will be putting it up just yet.
Well, if you don't make it in the stud business, you'd be a good politician with that answer. But yeah, well, let's start small. It could be a few £100. It could be tickets to the local cinema. It could be anything. But no, it does strike me as a nice idea anyway. But going back to the kind of the program, Ed, I suppose. This National Hunt Junior Development Races for 3-year-olds. This is a close one to mine and James's heart. After I bought a 2-year-old for him and ran it as a 3-year-old, that was granted was by a flat stallion and didn't really work out. You may know him. He's called Chief Hopper. Chief Hopper actually ran first as a 3-year-old in one of those National Hunt Development Races. Now, my question really is, should that have been something that we'd done between the flags and not under rules? And are we kind of confusing matters by putting that sort of a race on offer?
It's a very good idea to bring it in. It's come along with its difficulties. Obviously, there's been some changes of the rules last season, which has been a little bit frustrating. The fact that there was a penalty system added to winners of the races, it kind of felt like the goalposts had changed halfway through the game. But I know that there's been quite a lot of work to try and sort of resolve that, and I think next year will be a lot more plain sailing. But all these changes to the rules need time to bed in, and if you're trying to win a 3-year-old race with a 3-year-old, the owners and trainers kind of need nearly 2 years' notice to A, get the stock to do it, and B, educate them enough to run them properly, because there's no hiding from the fact that the first few races was sort of mildly shambolic to watch, with horses running around all over the place. But there's quite a lot of work being done on the program to try and start the races a bit later in the season, and place them out better throughout the season, so that the depth of the races are better, and it makes it easier for the trainers. It's not a hassle to have limited options of where to go. There was one day last year at Ludlow where there was a junior national hurdle and a juvenile hurdle on the same card, which was just crazy, really. But there's quite a lot of work going on behind the scenes to change that. I do. It's a really rogue one, but I would quite like to see an opportunity for some point-to-point trainers to be able to run in that, because they've got the time on their hands to educate these horses. Trainers are busy people, and it's a marginal game of staff, and everything else is tricky. So trying to find people that can, but trying to find the time to educate these horses properly is quite tricky to achieve. So I'm all for point-to-point handlers being able to run in them.
That's really good.
Of how that is allowed, I'm not sure, but I'm all for it, because there's no doubt, and the fact that the French system being able to start these horses earlier is a massive positive. And it's a bit like watching any athlete, whatever age you start, the younger you start, the more chance you've got of being good at it. You watch, children that learn sports at that age, they're so much quicker learners than people that learn when they're older. There's got to be positives in that. And yes, there's different pedigrees, etc., abroad and everything else, but that early education's got to count for so much. So I'm a massive a supporter of it, and we need to listen to the trainers and make sure it works for them too. But it would be a great opportunity for these point-to-point trainers to try and get a bit more stability to their business as well, in terms of the sales perspective. Form under rules counts for so much more than form on the flags, emptying the flags. So I'm all for it, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with Ed on that. I think it's a great point that, point-to-point trainers are known for getting horses to run over a point-to-point and probably jump 15, 18 point-to-point fences. If you're going to run in these juvenile series, they jump probably eight hurdles, and they've got the time, they're set up for it. Like I was saying, the trainers just don't really have the time to school the young horses and have all the time to get them right. I think if it may be like a hunter chase cert or whatever that you can use, so they can use to race them as 3-year-olds, and I don't think it'll take away from the pointing, because it's just a different aspect of their business, because obviously they'd be running 3-year-olds instead of 4-year-olds, and I think it would help the point-to-point guys for another market as well, because can be quite limited for the point-to-point trainers, especially over here, because the majority of the racing's in the spring, and to get them to sell, if you're selling them and trading them, there's only sort of a certain time where your income is coming in. Whereas if you're able to run them in the autumn, I know there are point-to-points in the autumn, but it seems to take a bit of getting going over here in the autumn. But if you could run under rules 3-year-olds, I think it'd be a good sort of incentive. And I think a lot of the young point-to-point trainers and different things would be keen to look into doing it anyway.
Absolutely. So I agree with what you guys are saying. I think it's a really good idea. But with point-to-point hat on, James, isn't that not a missed opportunity for pointing, in the sense that, is that not just something that could happen on a point-to-point course, if not over fences and money's no object, over hurdles? Or that's controversial, I realise, but something we've spoken about off air a few times. Is it not a missed opportunity for pointing to send these younger horses under rules and make the trainers chase them that way?
Yeah, I've long thought it'd be nice to see more of a merge between the bottom of national hunt racing and the top of point-to-point racing. I don't know how you do it, because you do muddy the waters, but some of them low-grade handicap hurdles, maybe for point-to-point trainers as well, whose horses are not dwelling over chase fences. But to be honest, when you sent me that question, I felt it isn't 100% working, those junior hurdles, but I didn't really know how we'd improve it. And then listening to the two lads talking there now, I'm as clear as day to how we improve it. I think actually that's a really, really good way of taking the sport forward, because they have just lacked a bit of I don't know. They've just not been very sexy, those junior bumpers, junior hurdles, have they? And
No,
maybe
I
that would
think
just
they've
add a
been,
bit more intrigue to them.
I think they've been misunderstood. Like, you know, as well. Like in the early days, so I bought the Chief Hop, as you know, to go that route because I thought they were going to be soft races, and I thought he wouldn't necessarily be a world beater, but he's a nice early kind of athletic horse, and still is a handy sort of type. And I thought, well, we'll do that, and if that doesn't work, we'll go pointing. And you know, this is no slight at all on Laura Morgan because I think she's a very good trainer, and my communication skills aren't what they should be. But he ran first time in a juvenile hurdle because I clearly didn't explain what the plan was with him, and it was too late before I realised. And he was completely run off his feet around Southall against a load of people that would come off the flat, and he was just thinking, "What the hell's going on here?" And I think it's added him to the job pretty quickly. And so in those early days, there was a real lack of understanding. And lack of communication on my part, but hopefully the trainers are getting used to it. But it would certainly, if you did introduce the point-to-point handlers being able to take those 3-year-olds, that you know, Will Bidder could take the first 4 of the season out down there, wouldn't he? You know, he's got that many 3-year-olds in his yard to be queuing up. I think it's a really good idea, chaps. So yeah, we'll have to send the link of this podcast to anyone who'll listen in the higher echelons of the sport. But yeah, great answers all around there. And is there anything else that you guys think? Just to finish, really, I know it's been a fairly short episode, but is there anything else that you think that pointing can do to push itself forward in the UK in a more meaningful way?
I think they need a mares only hunter chase at the Cheltenham Festival.
Oh, this is what this podcast missed, James. Your dry wit. Imagine the scenes. Imagine you never. Kevin Blake would never stop talking about it, would he? That'd be it. He'd just combust on the spot on all the various shows he's on.
It would get us a lot of publicity, wouldn't it, for the sport?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Make it in 5 miles as well.
I mean that literally sums. That's actually, you know, a massive talking point. You say, what does the sport need to change? But the sport needs to be appealing. It's an entertainment sport to the masses, and it needs to have that zest that people want to watch it. They want to go for the days out and they want to have fun. And some hunts are phenomenal at creating a really entertaining day for everyone. I appreciate the weather makes a massive difference, and therefore time of the year and everything else. And hence, you know, that going back to the Easter weekend, that's why a lot of people want to do it. But some hunts make a huge amount of effort and they're massively rewarded for it. And I appreciate it all comes at a cost. But we are trying to entertain people. That's what the sport's there. Well, a big part of the sport is to do that. And I feel like it wouldn't hurt if there was a little bit more done on that angle. And kind of touches back on the 3-year-old races. You know, they've got to be appealing. They certainly are in France. Not quite yet over here, but they will be.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd probably say is obviously it's great when you get crowds and all the rest, but I don't think the video, maybe I know that maybe that it's a cost and different things, but the point-to-point videos in England aren't great. And also, if you're looking up results and that sort of thing, it can take sometimes a couple of days before you can have the results and different things. Whereas if you're looking in Ireland, like the results would be up 20 minutes after the race, you'd see who's won the maidens, different things. Totally. And I don't know how that would be worked or how it would be done, but if it was updated maybe a bit quicker, it also gives people, they can watch it and see it, and maybe it comes up a bit sooner, you know?
Yeah. A lot of hunts are very good at that, putting the results straight up on social media, and they should be highly commended for it. It seems a bit in the dark ages to waiting to the next day to see a result or to that evening to see a result. Yeah,
we just shouldn't be relying on the good folks hanging out at the back of a Hilux, you know, tweeting away. Should we? This should be centralised. I think it's a really, really strong point you make, Lester, and something me and Ed have talked about privately as well. Like, we have to get results out there quicker, and you know, whilst the quality of the video is actually all right in some circumstances, again, maybe waiting until Tuesday just isn't quite sharp enough. How we resolve these things is another matter, and don't get me started on betting on pointing. We'll be here all night. James, any final thoughts?
No, I suppose it's bloodstock based, this, isn't it? So it'd be lovely to see more people breeding, but it's quite hard to sell that dream when it's 7 or 8 years before you can run in the open. But I don't know. You can get to the store sales, can't you, and buy some nice horses. And there's some nice horses. It's such good fun, isn't it? I think a lot of people get a lot of value out of pointing their mare and then putting her in foal and then taking that foal all the way through. And some of my clients, they've really enjoyed that experience, but it's quite a hard dream to when not really the money there to do it, but do it anyway. That's my
Yes, James. A
advice.
rare bit of positivity from James Gray there, everyone. Lovely.
I think for what James is saying there, that was a breeding point of view. Obviously, James, I think we've bought and sold horses and we've bred a lot of horses as well. You get a lot more satisfaction out of the horses that you breed that go on to win, even if you sold them, or the ones that you breed and still own, it's great. But even if you bred them and sold them on, if they go and win, I think you get much more satisfaction out of that than having bought one and sold one, or just got to store sales and bought one. I do like the idea. The breeding is very exciting, really.
Well, we've got a whole stable of horses now that run for us, on the flat, on the national hunt. We have 2 or 3 runners every single week, and yet we've got no costs associated with them. I've got horses in training. I've had a horse in training. It was in training for 20 weeks and never ran. You just think every time it went to run, it had a setback. Whereas when you're a breeder, you still follow those horses exactly as if they're your own. You can still ring the trainers, and they're really good at letting you know how you're getting on. So, like you say, it is a lot of fun watching them.
You just reminded me, James. Actually, we've got a lovely. Me and James own half and half of this lovely big Falco filly that would just be perfect for one of your clients. So we'll give you a call in a minute.
I love it. Send it all up.
That's the only reason we've actually got you on this podcast. Me and James are just wanting to sell this horse to you. So Lester, just close your ears for it. No, I'm joking.
It's your GBB.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's GBB. Yeah.
We wouldn't have such an opportunity. Yes, she's 16.4, James, is it? 16.4. She's sort of nice unicorn colour.
That sounds like the sort of horses Ed normally buys, so that's probably about that.
Oh dear.
Great value, anyway. Great value.
She's great value. Anyway, on that bombshell, thanks a lot for joining us, chaps. Really appreciate your time. Just thought it'd be interesting to take the pod on a different angle for the week. So yeah, really appreciate your time, and thanks all for coming.
You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast.